by.
Sergeants, at this time, can we please start the recordings?
PC recording is up.
Good morning and welcome to today's remote New York City Council hearing for the Committee on Finance. At this time, we ask that council members and staff turn on their video for verification purposes. To minimize disruptions throughout the hearing, please place your cell phones and electronic devices to vibrate or silent. Thank you for your cooperation, Chair. We're ready to begin.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to today's Finance Committee meeting. My name is Councilmember Justin Brennan. I'm the chair of the Finance Committee. I want to first acknowledge my colleagues who have joined us this morning. Council members Lewis, Barron, Carr, Velasquez, Brooks Powers, Moya, Osei, Farias, Kagan, Hanks, Juan, Ayala, and Brewer. And if more join us, I will acknowledge them. Today we have 3 items on the agenda: an Article 11 property tax exemption and 2 bid items. So let's start with the land use item, which is 1312 Beach Channel Drive, located in Far Rockaway in Minority Whip Brooks Powers District. The proposed development, which would consist of a single 8-story building that would include both a 100-bed shelter and 147 units of supportive housing, which would be supported by a 40-year full Article 11 tax exemption. Minority Whip Brooks Powers is supportive of the project, and I want to give the Minority Whip an opportunity to make her remarks now.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Chair Brannon and the committee for convening today's hearing. Before we begin with the vote agenda, I wanted to speak briefly about the item in my district, approving an Article 11 property tax exemption at 1312 Beach Channel Drive in downtown Far Rockaway. The tax exemption will facilitate the development of a facility that will contain a supportive housing facility and a women's shelter. Shelters and supportive housing facilities provide critical services, and they are key to addressing the multiple crises: housing, employment, mental health, the unhoused New Yorkers often face. However, these investments must be made with equity in mind. We must ensure that our resources and support are distributed equitably across our city's districts. My council district overlaps with Queens Community Boards 12, 13, and 14. These 3 community districts contain over half of the shelter beds cited in the entire borough of Queens. An additional shelter of the originally proposed size would bring a serious strain on our local infrastructure in an area that has already seen our development skyrocket. In light of this reality, I would like to acknowledge the staff at DHS and HPD, as well as the team at BRC, for their partnership and for coming to the table to ensure that the needs of the community are prioritized in this project. The city has agreed to substantially reduce the size of the shelter component of this project by 100 beds, and has also agreed to a reduction of 200 shelter beds across my district by the end of the year, and an indefinite moratorium on new sightings while the city analyzes its shelter placement plan. Thanks also to the committee's assistant counsel, Noah Brick, for his assistance on this item. And I encourage my colleagues to vote in support of this project. And thank you, Chair Brennan, for this time.
Thank you, Majority Whip Brooks Powers. I also want to acknowledge we've been joined by Council members Powers, Sanchez, and Hudson. Okay, so next, there's 2 bid items. Intro 47, which would establish the Castle Hill Business Improvement District in Councilmember Farias's council district. The proposed bid is generally bound from the Cross Bronx Expressway to Manning Street along the east and west side of Castle Hill Ave, from Olmsted Avenue to just east of Glebe Avenue along the south side of Westchester Ave, and from Union Point Road to just east of Glebe Ave along the north side of Westchester Avenue. The bid area is a neighborhood commercial corridor comprised primarily of smaller 1- and 2-story buildings with residential uses on the upper floors. Of the district's 97 properties, 94 are partially or wholly commercial with ground floor retail use, some second floor residential space. The bid projects a first-year budget of $300,000 in which it proposes to offer such things as marketing, holiday lighting, street cleaning, graffiti removal, administration services, and advocacy services. Intro 73 would establish the West Village bid in Councilmember Botcher's district. The proposed bid generally includes blocks on 5 major commercial strips: 7th Avenue South, the west side of the Avenue of the Americas, Bleecker Street, Christopher Street, and West 4th. It also includes smaller commercial and mixed-use streets that intersect the above-mentioned streets that are heavily trafficked by neighborhood visitors and residents. The proposed district contains approximately 872 properties, 60% of which are commercial or mixed use after adjusting for residential condos. The bid projects a first-year budget of approximately $600,000 in which it proposes to offer marketing, holiday lighting, street cleaning, graffiti removal, administration, and advocacy services. $600,000 is also the maximum budget permitted under the current local law. On March 24th, 2022, this committee held a public hearing to consider both intros 47 and 73. We heard testimony in support of both of the bids' respective establishments as required by law. That hearing closed without a vote, and the 30-day period began to allow property owners affected by the establishment of the relevant bids to formally object to the proposed action. According to the city clerk, with whom these objections would be filed, one property owner filed a valid objection to the creation of the West Village bid during the 30-day period. For the Castle Hill bid, however, no property owners filed a valid objection to the creation of bid during that 30 days. Accordingly, this committee may now vote in favor of intro 47 and 73 if we can answer the following 4 questions in the affirmative. Question 1, were all notices of hearing for all hearings required to be held, published, and mailed as so required by law and otherwise sufficient? Question 2, does all the real property within the district's boundaries benefit from the establishment or the expansion of the district except as otherwise provided by law? Question 3, is all real property benefited by the district included within the district? And finally, question 4, is the establishment or expansion of the district in the best interest of the public? Representatives from SBS, the Department of Small Business Services, are here to testify to help us answer those 4 questions on the 2 bid items. Before we turn to SBS, I want to invite Councilmember Farias to speak in support of the establishment of the Castle Hill bid. Is Councilmember Farias here?
I'm here. Sorry, I am
okay.
just getting off the ferry today.
Right on.
So thank you again for asking me to come say a couple words. I will say that I am in full support of the bid development, and it's in the intro today. I urge all my colleagues to support it. It's a long time coming, as I've stated before, for this bid to be created and information from before my 2 predecessors beginning. And through the pandemic, these businesses have pulled through and have stayed organized and committed to this effort. And so I urge my colleagues to vote yes today. And thank you for giving me a moment to acknowledge its creation and all of the hard work that's been put into it.
Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, now I'm going to ask my counsel to swear in the representative from Department of Small Business Services before they give their testimony.
Thank you, Chair Brannon. Mr. Brown, do you affirm that the testimony you will give today before this committee will be truthful to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief?
I do.
I'm sorry, you may begin when ready.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Chair Brannon and the members of the Finance Committee. I'm Calvin Brown. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Neighborhood Development at the Department of Small Business Services. Today, we would like to report on the results of the objections filed with the City Clerk against the establishment of the proposed Castle Hill Business Improvement District. As required by law, the Castle Hill Steering Committee mailed the summary of City Council resolution to the following parties: to each owner of real property within the proposed district at the address shown at the latest city assessment roll, to such other persons as registered with the city to receive tax bills concerning real property within the district, and to tenants of each building within the proposed district. Furthermore, SBS arranged the publication of a copy of the summary of the resolution at least once in city records. At the conclusion of the objection period at 5 p.m. on April 22nd, 2022, and taken into consideration any objections postmarked by that date, no objections were filed with the city clerk for the properties within the district. The Department of Small Business Services supports the establishment of the proposed Castle Hill bid. In our judgment, the proposed bid will improve the quality of life and business conditions in the Castle Hill district. Regarding the West, should I move on to the next one?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, thank you. Regarding the West Village Business Improvement District, also as required by law, the West Village Steering Committee mailed the summary of the City Council resolution to the following parties: to each owner of the real property within the proposed district at the address shown on the latest city assessment roll, to such other persons as are registered with the city to receive tax bills concerning real property within the district, and to the tenants of each building within the proposed district. Furthermore, SBS also arranged for the publication of a copy of the summary of the resolution at least once in the city records. And at the conclusion of the objection period, which was also on April 22nd, 2022, and taken into consideration any objections postmarked by that date, one valid objection representing less than 1% of the total assessed value was filed with the city clerk for properties within the district. This level of objection is within our acceptable threshold needed to advance the bill for a favorable consideration by the full city council. The Department of Small Business Services also supports the establishment of this proposed bill, bid in the West Village. And in our judgment, the proposed bid would improve the quality of life and business condition in the West Village district. Thank you.
Thank you, Calvin. Okay, are there any other questions on today's items? I don't think I see any. Council, do you see any?
I see no hands.
Okay. Before I turn to the mighty Bill Martin to call the roll, I would like to extend thanks to Committee Counsel Noah Brick. He's been an invaluable member of the Finance Division and of this committee. I want to thank him for all the work he's done for this legislative body. Noah, really going to miss you. I appreciate how you've guided me in the past almost 5 months in my role as chair, and we're going to miss you, bud. So I'll now ask Billy Martin, committee clerk, to call the roll.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, William Martin, the mighty committee clerk. Roll call vote, Committee on Finance. All items are coupled. Chair Brannon.
I vote aye.
Ayala.
I vote aye. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you. Moya.
I vote aye.
Powers.
Aye.
Lewis.
I vote aye.
Brooks. Powers.
I vote aye or no.
Barron.
May I explain my vote?
I guess that means yes. I can't explain my vote.
Yeah, of course.
I want to commend Brooks Powers, the council member, on doing the best that she could on this project. You know, it started off worse than what it was before, but honesty compels me to be consistent and not vote in favor of it, even though I'm glad you did get it down to 100 and a commitment to reduce more in other areas of your community. But this is in violation of the Fair Share Act, where communities that are oversaturated with homeless shelters should not be building more homeless shelters, and the city should be supporting putting those 100 units into permanent housing, which has happened in other areas. It should be permanent housing. We'll never get rid of homelessness building more shelters. But to you, you were open to try to fight it to the best of your ability. So I do want to commend you for that, but I have to be consistent and say I vote no for that item and aye on all the rest.
Thank you, Councilmember. Just to clarify, those beach channel?
I vote aye.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
Councilmember Brewer.
I vote aye, but I do agree with Councilmember Charles Barron that we need to have permanent housing. It's a fight every single time. And I think if we do more permanent housing, then we will not have as many people applying to be the next transitional building. So we've got to work on that. There's so many aspects to this, but I vote aye, and I know the fight continues. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Farias.
I vote aye.
Thank you. Hanks.
I vote aye.
Hudson.
Billy, she'll be coming back in a few moments, so we'll keep
Okay.
the vote open for a few moments.
No problem. Thank you. Councilmember Kagan.
I vote aye.
Osei.
I vote aye.
Sanchez.
I vote aye, but want to second Councilmember Brewer and Councilmember Barron's concerns. Thank you.
Velasquez.
I vote aye, and I agree with my colleagues Sanchez, Brewer, and Barron. We need to do more with permanent housing.
Thank you. Juan.
I vote aye, and I share my colleagues' sentiments because my district is also overly saturated with temporary shelters right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Carr.
Aye on all.
Thank you. One moment. Okay, by a vote of 16 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and no abstentions, we have introductions 47 and 73 adopted by the committee. And by a vote of 15 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative, and no abstentions, pre-considered land use item is also adopted by the committee. And Chair Brandon, we have 1 member outstanding.
Okay, what do you guys want to do? We're going to leave it open for a minute?
Yes, Council Chair Brandon, I just texted her staffer. We're going to keep it open just for a few minutes. She's going to jump on.
Okay.
Those of you who have already rendered your vote may, of course, stay on or drop off if you have other business to attend to.
You guys can all go home early on good behavior.
That means you're staying on bad behavior, Chair Brandon?
That's the only behavior I've got.
I
Friendly
know.
reminder, we are live and recorded. Thank you.
Oh,
I don't
God.
mind. Everybody knows. I don't mind.
You're reminding the wrong people, Billy.
I can say anything.
Mr. Chair, I'm just trying to use my mighty powers.
That's duly noted.
Okay, Chair Brandon, Councilmember Hudson just jumped on and we're just waiting for her to connect to audio. And okay, Billy, it looks like she's connected to audio.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Hudson?
Aye on all.
Thank you. Final vote, Committee on Finance. Introductions 47 and 73 are adopted by the committee with 17 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and no abstentions. And pre-considered land use item is adopted by the committee with a vote of 16 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative, and no abstentions. That is a full committee, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.